And that pairs very nicely, if you're kind of pairing this like a wine tasting kind of thing, with our top Zen that we have coming up, which is the top 10 greatest boss battles of all time. While real world bosses get shit done in the boardroom, these bosses gave us a run for our money in the virtual world. And this week's Top Zen is our top 10 boss battles, and I'm going to kick us off with number 10 in the countdown, Deathstroke from Arkham Origins. I feel like Arkham Origins is a game that I like more than I should. It is hilariously a buggy mess at times, and it really shouldn't be considered that it's a less crowded version of Arkham City, which was already made. But anyways, it's still pretty fun. The new stuff isn't too bad, even though the electric gloves are a bit OP. The game does have a solid attempt at a compelling story, and I do think the boss fights was one of the strongest components of the game. Yeah. Deathstroke being one of those best boss fights. It actually did feel like kind of a fair fight. In most bot fights, it's usually, you versus a huge, ugly, unseemingly powerful monster, and you having to kind of overcome this. But Deathstroke presented a challenge that was your size, right? That you had to look around and fight off. And when fighting Deathstroke, you're fighting someone that doesn't have a clear advantage over you, someone that is just as skilled as you are, essentially an equal to you. And I think that was a really fun element that really brought a lot of energy into this boss fight. And I felt like the fight could go either way at any point. I felt like I didn't know if this was the last boss fight that I was going to have with Deathstroke or not when I first played through that fight. It was epic. It was adrenaline inducing, and probably one of my favorites boss fights out there. And for it to be, I do love the Arkham franchise. There's a lot of boss fights that were, notable contenders in here. Mr. Freeze from Arkham City being one of them. But honestly, this fight in Arkham Origins was my absolute favorite.
They put the best boss fight in Arkham Origins for the reason of it'll get people to play it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's not a bad game. I don't like to shit on it like a lot of people do on the internet. I thought it was fun. I had fun playing it. And so, but this boss battle in particular is one that I remember it. Like I can recall it. It was a lot of fun to play.
Kev, you feel like Deathstroke is worthy of number 10 spot for this countdown?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. Maybe not the game, but the battle for sure. That was the problem, right? It was such a great boss battle, and it was literally the first one. And then
I thought it was like the third or something like that, but it was still very early on in the game. Yeah, very early on in the game.
It made you go, "This game's gonna be fucking good."
Right? Yeah. Yes. That was the problem.
I think that's why people don't remember that game as well. Like they played.
That's probably the biggest part of that problem of that game, though. I mean, Kev hits on a good point. It peaked too early.
Yeah. Yep.
It really did.
In high school.
Right. And like that, I thought the fight with Copperhead was pretty fun. Most people didn't like the fight with Copperhead.
That was hard, man. That's a hard one.
And the Bane fight at the end, like it was, it was intense, but it wasn't as climactic as probably some of the other fights that we've had out there, and did feel a lot like a cop out from the first Arkham game where you're facing off against Titan Joker. So I definitely see the problems with the game, but as far as that boss fight goes, it's a notable contender, and that's why it comes in at number 10 in our countdown. But speaking of notable contenders, number 9 is a very notable contender in more than just our boss battles, but as a heavyweight champion. Mike Tyson comes in at number 10. Kev, tell us why Mike Tyson is even on this countdown.
Yes, we got Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! It's not an easy game. You will get your ass handed to you. But it isn't until the very last fight that you begin to know real pain. Digital Mike Tyson appears throughout the game, taunting you and smiling his iconic Gap 2 smile. But once he's in the ring with you, you'll realize he backs up his words. Soon into the bout, you will see that each of Mike's regular punches can almost knock you out. But then when he flashes, you better be prepared. Only the most nimble of gamers will be able to dodge each and every punch of his barrage, which culminates in his trademark uppercut that can KO you right away. He's one of the hardest video game bosses for this, and it doesn't help that you can be knocked out so very quickly, leaving you play through the entire thing again in order to try and learn his patterns. At least he stays away from your ears.
No, this is a tough one. And you can actually, I don't want to give dude, I'm such fucking capitalist propaganda sometimes. But Nintendo Online actually has this game available. If you subscribe to Nintendo Online, you can play a lot of old retro games through the Nintendo Store. You download like this weird little retro console thing. I don't know. Do you people know what I'm talking about on Switch?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
sweet. Well, it has this fucking game on there, and I ran it. I was like, "Yo, I haven't played Punch Out in forever. Let's run some Punch Out." I couldn't make it past the second guy. Like it's a tough.
It's so hard,
game, dude. It's tough, and so I can't even imagine how hard Mike Tyson is, man. Like so I'm definitely like I'm gonna try to get there, but like, dude, I don't even know if I could.
A boss that you kind of have to like flawless victory.
Yeah,
to win.
You kind of do. Well, because each punch. If I remember, I mean, and I think you even said it, like takes away half your health. And so if you get hit once, you're already halfway gone. Like if you get hit by the uppercut, you're KO'd immediately. Yeah. So like it's literally 2 punches dead or 1 punch you're dead. That's your option.
Right.
And it's
you
a tough
take
game.
A glancing blow, but that's it.
Exactly. That's a tough game, though. It really is. I encourage everyone with a Switch to try it, just because you'll be able to. We used to play this shit for fun.
Yeah, right. Games didn't hold your hand back then.
Yeah, it was Dark Souls, 8-bit style.
Right. For real. With, actual...
With boxers.
With boxers. And nothing to do with the Middle Ages at all. And two-dimensional and all other things.
It was
really
nothing
like Dark Souls, but the difficulty was like
It was really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. But speaking of hard, number 8 on our countdown was especially hard boss to encounter. Big Daddy, BioShock. Tell us why Big Daddy from BioShock comes at number 8 on the countdown before I make a gross joke.
The Big Daddy. They're the first thing most people think of when they think of BioShock, which is it's kind of true because of their iconic look.
Ironically, not the first thing people think of when they say Big Daddy. Hey, all right, there, I got it on my system. Cool.
They lumber around in kind of like this kind of antique looking atmospheric diving suits, and they're always protecting little sisters all over underwater world of Rapture. Some have these rivet guns or drill arms, but their punches are just as formidable. Forget the final boss battle of this game, which cheapens the experience. The Big Daddy enemies are by far the best in BioShock, especially as they are basically roaming battles that allow you to choose when and where you want to engage them. The best bet is to pick, to play on your turf, set up a bunch of, traps, get a bunch of heavy weapons, and set up for a fierce battle. There's few things as unsettling as the groaning well-like noises these guys make, especially combined with the, reverb kind of like loud sounding of their footsteps because of the heavy armor and everything. And so it's really atmospheric, kind of like how they set up all of these battles with Big Daddy. And so, but when they're angry at you, it's utterly terrifying, and you're in for it. So these are some of the funnest battles. The BioShock franchise has a lot of good boss battles, but I definitely think Big Daddy's got to be one of the hardest and at least scariest too, because the little sisters, those things are fucking scary too. Anyway.
Terrifying package.
Yeah,
absolutely terrifying package. I remember playing BioShock, and you just hear this thump, thump, and you're like, oh, fuck. And like, I hope this is not in the path that I need to go. And of course it always is. The little sisters, also terrifying, right? They could pop up. They have those little needle guns, and they were always dirty needles, always dirty. And that was the part that always got me. It was just that they were not just big needles, they were dirty. Like, that you're going to get something needles. Just dirty needles.
Immediate hep C to the veins.
Eggs, right? and they would come up with those little guns and all that stuff.
You have AIDS. I mean, you skipped HIV,
right? I mean, the Big Daddy and Little Sister are a horror icon, for generations to come, and just probably one of the funnest, big enemies to fucking take down and just go at it with. So I totally understand why they make the countdown here. Kev, you ever taken on a Big Daddy?
I have, and it terrifies me just as much as it terrifies you. Like, I remember I played the demo, and it almost scared me so much I didn't get the game. But then I was like, I can't, it was so fun. It's such a great game.
Rapture's very cool.
I just hated that noise, that thumping noise. Like, it's still like sends shivers down my spine now because you just know you're in just for like a fucked up day.
Rapture is a creepy setting in general. Like it really is. Everything about those games is so, like I said, atmospheric. Like they really do a good job of making you feel like you're in a really creepy underwater city that's post-apocalyptic and all that shit.
They always do that, right? Like that Art Deco sort of turn of the century style, you know, even with the music and the record playing, like it's all creepy. Like
very creepy game.
Yeah.
But not as creepy as number 7.
Well, I don't think number 7 is very creepy, but I think that number 7 is definitely one of the most difficult bosses that you'd have to face in video games. And I know personally,
I would want you to tell him he's not creepy to his face, Dotson.
Do what?
I said I would wager that you would not tell him he is not creepy to his face.
Yeah, I would. I would definitely tell him he's not creepy to his face because he'd probably hit me with a fucking sledgehammer and knock my jaw halfway across in brutal fashion. And that's because number 7 in the countdown is Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn is one of the most celebrated villains in video game history. He is noted as one of the most difficult bosses out there. Publications and critics have praised his design, his in-game abilities and mannerisms, particularly his tactic of mocking and taunting players.
Yeah.
I can Jake, you remember Dallas. You remember our buddy Dallas. I can remember a good amount of times in college sitting on the couch with Dallas and him literally getting just enraged, very much enraged by Shao Kahn's comments. And it's like one of the first times where and it's really just literally because it's one of the first times that there was a character that was just taunting as frustrating, you know, to play against, and was amping that up with taunts of it at the same time that you really just fucking hated him. And there is a hatred for Shao Kahn because I've seen Shao Kahn kill my character thousands of times. If we're putting a scoreboard of how many times I have gone up against Shao Kahn and won versus how many times, he's definitely taken away a trophy, you know, 100%. He's the Emperor of Outworld. He's a ruthless killer who will stop at nothing with a giant magical hammer that basically has the same powers as Mjolnir, just fucking, you know, sledgehammer size. And not to mention that he has a army of Goros and Molinas and Barakas at his disposal. So when you think of big bosses, Shao Kahn is definitely up there. And honestly, it's kind of surprising he's not higher up on the list.
He's a hard one.
He is a big one. What do you think about Shao Kahn making number 7 in the countdown, Jake?
Oh no, I mean, like, obviously there's everybody on this list is a hard boss to beat, but Shao Kahn, like you said, I've seen him crush me thousands of times. And anytime you've climbed a ladder in Mortal Kombat, you feel this sense of achievement just to get all the way to the top and have that completely crushed. Because Shao Kahn is literally gonna, like, just, you know, lube you up and clap them cheeks every time.
I think it was an X where the final boss. Well, no, I don't think it is Shao Kahn in that one. I think that's another one. No, because he had that weird magic guy that was also an elder god. But anyways, it was Mortal Kombat 9 where Shang Tsung was the first mini boss, Goro was the second mini boss, and Shao Kahn was behind all of them. So Shao Kahn stacks above, as far as difficulty, above the guy who can beat anybody, right? As Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Literally a forearm fucking samurai Machamp. And then there's Shang Tsung, who's just got a fucking magic hammer. That's how much of a badass Shang Tsung is. And that's how, you know, fucking ridiculously cheap some of his fucking moves are. Goddamn, he will not let you up. But yeah, that's why Shao Kahn makes number 7 in the countdown. Now, while Shao Kahn is the Khan of Outworld and is definitely, you know, one of the big war pigs of Outworld, he's not as big of a war pig, or more or less a whiz pig, as number 6 in the countdown. Kev, tell us about number 6 in the countdown. I thought that was a pretty good transition.
Yeah,
pretty good, not bad.
Yeah.
Whiz pig from Diddy Kong Racing. The primary antagonist of Diddy Kong Racing, Wizpig, is an intergalactic pig wizard who takes over Timbers Island and lays claim to the land's racetracks. Player must beat
I mean, you can stop an intergalactic pig wizard.
There you go.
That's why it makes it.
There you go. The player must beat Wizpig twice throughout the Nintendo 64 game, once on land and once in space. But it's actually the first race that presents the real challenge for racers. While Wizpig will inevitably take an early lead in the one-on-one race, the player can make up ground throughout the track's 3 laps. The key is to hit as many of the track's zippers as possible, which will give the racer a temporary boost in speed. Hitting these zippers alone isn't enough. You need to be pointing in the perfect direction to reap the full benefits of these boosts to stand any chance of staying ahead of Wizpig. And that to the list of things I wish I knew as a kid, because I had no idea how to fucking beat this pig. Did you guys?
It's interesting. Yeah, Wizpig is known, as one of those bosses that a lot of people just never beat. They just ended up playing Diddy Kong Racing with their friends instead of beating the actual story. Well, because like you said, he inevitably is going to take a lead because he cheats, and the game knows he cheats, and so you, as a person who can't cheat apparently, have to hit every one of those fucking things, to beat him essentially. Yeah. And so it was maddening as a kid. I played the bricks off this game, though. I definitely did. I played it probably more than Mario Kart as a kid. I played Mario Kart more as an adult almost. Yeah, super underrated. Yeah. But Wizpig is definitely one of those tough bosses that, he was tough to beat, especially as a kid. I gotta find Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, Sag's got some feelings on. Sag's got a whole countdown on there.
He's in no order. Yeah,
in no order. Although there are some on there that I definitely agree with that may not have made this countdown, but we'll figure that out for sure. Yeah. As we move right along into number 5 in the countdown, The Master from Fallout. Jake, tell us why The Master makes number 5.
Yes, The Master at number 5. If you're a Fallout fan, this one, you probably were like, fuck yeah, knew this was coming. The creator of the super mutants that terrorized you through each Fallout game, The Master has decided that his best role in saving humanity is to turn the entire species into mutated beasts via a virus. Sound familiar? Anyway. Showcasing how amazing the game it really is. You can choose to fight The Master as expected at the end, even though he's quite hard to fight. You can attack twice around. He can attack twice around, has respawning super mutant bodyguards, and has a ton of his hit points. But you can also choose to simply blow up his entire building with a nuke, or just join forces and become a super mutant yourself. So, perhaps one of the most interesting ones on the list, because you can completely avoid it, depending on the skills you've upgraded. You may be able to convince him that everything he's done is terrible and get him so depressed that he chooses to kill himself rather than face you. So that's what makes The Master a pretty interesting one. As Fallout typically does, there's multiple ways to beat this boss. There's multiple ways to take this one on. And it's incredible to think that you can... you
can make him so depressed that he kills himself.
Yes, you can make him realize that everything he's done is so terrible that he takes his own life rather than fight you. And so that's one option. You can join him and become a super mutant, right? Or you can just nuke his whole place before, or you can just go in and fight him. You have multiple options here, which is why, I think he's an awesome boss, and one that, I really wanted to put on the time, this countdown, because the fact that he's hard as fuck, by the way. Yeah. So the other options are better options.
Right. Yeah.
And so but the one to where you can make him so depressed he takes his own life rather than fight you, I think that's just iconic.
That is pretty iconic. That is absolutely iconic. I didn't know that about The Master, and that it makes him a very interesting boss. Although I think I like the ending of a story where you fight up and finish the whole hero's journey, where you punch him in the face and knock him out, and good wins over evil, and yada yada, go home, get the girl, happy ending, that kind of thing. But I think the whole making him so depressed that he kills himself is a very interesting way to defeat a boss.
Especially a pretty bad guy. He really released a virus that turned humans into these giant super mutants. And so
right.
The fact
if
that
you're doing this to a normal person, this is a really dick move.
Yeah. You don't want to be the 13th reason why on some normal person,
Right. No. You don't. I think that's like a felony charge. But
Probably
I'm
is,
not
yeah.
sure. There's some girl in so that's a bad joke. Anyways,
Moving on to number 4 on the countdown.
moving on to number 4 on the countdown. Kratos' relationship with Poseidon has been rocky at best, but Poseidon comes in at number 3.
Yes.
Going from collaborative to all in and all out rivalry. Poseidon's favorite city, Atlantis, is destroyed, so it's hard to say, why he's not coming back at Kratos at full force. But at the beginning of God of War 3, basically opens up with a giant, monstrous, literally a horse made out of sea. So like a seahorse squid tentacle thing that you're not only, have to take down, but you climb up, knocking off minions and fighting giant tentacles of water along the way. Electricity burst, but the main focus of the first stage is, it's actually teaching the player how to play the game through this boss fight. But it's just an epic boss fight that shows the capabilities of what God of War not only is known for, not only is good at, but just does so well and hooks you into a game like no other. I mean, just like God of War 4 with that first little, hunting scene kind of thing, this was the big seller in God of War 3. And God of War 3 was the mission where Kratos takes down the rest of the Greek gods. That was something that was hugely impactful for God of War 3 and kind of setting the tone for that game, and really just it drew the player in more than anything else. Electricity burst. The next stages would require a player to be very mobile, rolling into delivering heavy attacks to the torso while avoiding, swings of his trident. Eventually, prying away the claws that support all of Poseidon, and just going in for this gory kill at the end. It's a very, very satisfying victory, and it's a very, gratifying boss battle, and probably one of my favorite boss battles in God of War of all time. It's hard to put that up against the battle with Hades himself, because that was a really cool one too.
Zeus,
Zeus, Hercules, but
God
I think Poseidon and that beginning hook was an amazing one. Kev, did you ever get a chance to take on Poseidon?
I did not. I've seen a lot of gameplay of it though. Fun fact: I've actually never played as God of War.
Oh wow!
But I know.
You need to get in on it,
man.
Yeah. I know. But I've seen a lot of it, and it makes me like it's yeah.
Borrow a PlayStation.
Right.
I will.
It's a good one. Honestly, like I said, the Zeus fight's good. This Poseidon one, I get why, because it's an iconic fight. God of War 3, it's how it's kind of starts it off and everything, and so it's a lot of fun. But the Zeus one was nice. Hercules was nice. Hades was nice. What was it? Not the 3-headed. Yeah, the Hydra. Hydra. One. Fucking sick.
Yeah, that was from God of War 1, but that's just how well this game has done with boss battles.
Oh, dude, there's multiple ones. And I've played every God of War. I had a PlayStation all the way up until PlayStation 3, and then I borrowed a friend's PlayStation 4 just to play the new God of War when it came out. And so, I've beat every God of War. I love them. If I ever get a PS5, I'll definitely buy, if they ever do, a full continuum of those bad boys, that's getting bought. Yeah. Great boss battles. But Poseidon definitely takes the cake, and that's why, I think number 3 is a great spot for him. Or number 4, actually.
Number 4. Yeah. But number 3, let's go ahead and move right along into number 3, because number 3 is a good one. Kev, tell us who we got at number 3.
At number 3, we have Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts. Well, Final Fantasy, but, in Kingdom Hearts. He's labeled as one of the most powerful villains in the Kingdom Hearts series. Sephiroth is portrayed as a master swordsman wielding his long blade known as the Masamune, meaning that just one hit from Sephiroth can be a big threat to your hit points. His hits make him a legendary boss in Kingdom Hearts. He gives players a really hard time in trying to beat him, a boss not many can say they have actually successfully beaten. Sephiroth is the human-alien hybrid originally from Final Fantasy. It's much more of a challenge to take down in the Kingdom of Hearts series. Here, Sephiroth is able to block a ridiculous amount of the player's attacks. He's also able to counterattack with very little recovery time. Therefore, trying to get behind the one-winged angel may be easiest way to get in for a hit. For this fight, preparation is just as important as the battle strategy. Going in to face Sephiroth below level 70 will almost certainly spell disaster for newbies, just like our next pick will spell disaster for any 90s kids. Before we get into that, guys, yeah, I think Sephiroth had to make this list, right? I think it's fair he's this high. I think he's broken in any game he's in, regardless. But mostly in this one specifically.
Specifically Kingdom Hearts, he's definitely OP. Like, this was a tough boss battle. Like, it's one that still sticks with me to this day. It was actually on SAG.
Transcended so many different games, right? It's in Kingdom Hearts from Final Fantasy and Smash Brothers.
I said it was funny that out of SAG's entire list, this guy Sephiroth was the one that made it.
Right, like, I'm surprised.
But yeah, I mean, there's
because he's iconic. No. He's a tough one.
There's none of the other ones. Yep. Yeah, we got Sephiroth though.
Yeah, because he named some ones like like Metal Gear and Ninja Gaiden, things like that. Like, those are games, dude. I mean,
Shao Kahn.
Yeah, Shao Kahn. Okay, so yeah, we got two. We got two for 10, 12, however many.
One of those, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, he had to make the list.
Oh yeah, had to make the list. And in Smash Brothers, he's continuing to do amazingly with his supremely long reach.
Yeah, he's kind of broken.
He's pretty OP. He's pretty broken.
Yeah.
Well, apparently not quite as broken as number 2 on the list. An iconic boss when we talk about boss battles, that is, and that has to be Bowser. So tell us why Bowser makes the countdown, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of people who just had to make the countdown, Bowser is a mainstay in every Mario Brothers game, but his appearance in Super Mario 64 may be his most memorable. Time after time, he appears in several in special level where you have to grab his tail and spin him around and toss him into a number of bombs lining up the area to take him out. And every single time he comes crawling back for more. The stages themselves are both incredibly satisfying and a wonderful demonstration of the power of the 3D platformer, which this game effectively kicked off as a genre in general. So Bowser in the Sky, the final battle though, Mario, you see Mario flying or trying to face a Bowser that's learned a ton of new tricks, like how to break the ground, breathe fire, and send shockwaves by smashing down, defeating him. But defeat him and you'll rescue Princess Peach, even though you know that she'll just end up getting taken again in a future game. And so, this is one of those things where it's specifically the 64 boss battle. As a kid, this one gave me trouble. Like, you see him multiple times, like, I said, throughout the game, and all of those, especially like, if you've played it before or after you get the hang of just spinning him around and throw him into bombs, they don't become a problem. At the end, though, they give this guy so many fucking moves. He's Smash Bros. And you're not yet. And so, like, it makes it a super kind of like challenging fight, especially on a Nintendo 64's controls. Yep. I mean, that's the biggest part,
you
right?
Have to do
like
the thing
yeah,
where you
like, oh my God, like
the wax on.
The wax on, and like it's one of those where I don't know what's harder, the boss battle or the boss battle because of the controller, So but honestly, Bowser in any Mario game's iconic. He's been a boss that I think everybody probably watching this and everybody on this show has beaten at least once in their life, and so that's why he had to make number 2 on the countdown.
Right.
But I don't know, like, I mean, what do you guys think about Bowser being at number 2? Should he have been number 1?
Yeah, I think that he definitely deserves a mention out there. Headcanon for me, Bowser, Mario, and Peach are all in a polyamorous relationship with a kidnap and rescue kink. So this is just one of their endeavors, I can see it too.
It happens too frequently for it.
Right?
It makes the most sense as to why she's constantly, and she's never in any real danger. It's kind of a pie and like fucking Olive situation where like, the big brute just comes and takes her, but he just like puts her like next to him and it's just like,
Right.
yeah, like I got
And
this
she's always like,
princess.
"Oh, Mario."
Yeah,
Come on.
like
That
she's
sounds
never in that
staged.
much
That
pain.
sounds like a scene. Like
Yeah,
it sounds like at
like,
any point in
Yeah.
time she could be like, "Red," and then she's like, "Okay, all right, we break everything up." Right,
and also
stop
Peach
everything.
Mains will be the first to tell you that Peach could work Bowser real quick.
Yeah.
Give him the quick work. She can take Mario
Yeah.
too.
Boom.
I've played some people who know how to main Peach on GameCube, and they fuck you up, man.
Yeah. Come out with that peach bomb with the real peach.
Oh yeah.
You know, this is why they call me Peach.
Yeah.
um,
Oh man,
but
it'll only be one.
yeah, there can only be one. What do you think about Bowser coming in at number 2 on the countdown, Kev?
Yeah, I think he's probably my number one boss, just because when I think of bosses, Bowser pops in my head. Like,
Yeah.
I think he's iconic. But yeah, I think number one here. I think I'm good with one. Bowser's my one, but I'm okay with why he's number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to put another Nintendo boss for number 1.
We had to put another Nintendo boss for number 1, and number 1 is Calamity Ganon. And Calamity Ganon is really just a placeholder for really Ganon in general, but Calamity Ganon happens to be probably one of my personal favorite forms of Ganon, and that is of course, the final boss for Breath of the Wild. So one of Ganon is the most iconic villain in the world of Legend of Zelda, but one of Link's toughest battles against the reoccurring boss has to be in Breath of the Wild. Link has fought a number of fearsome monsters and villains during his career as Hyrule's protector, but the most notorious is his archenemy Ganon. Ganon was the main antagonist of the original game, and although he doesn't appear in every single part of the franchise as a villain or boss, every entry in The Legend of Zelda has a reference to him somewhere in the plot line. He's not always the big bad, but most of the time he's the big bad. And if he's not the big bad, then he taught the big bad. If he's not the big bad, then he's like the emperor at the end of it,
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be.
Or a puppet or something.
Or a puppet, or some way, shape, or form. Some of my favorite Zelda villains have actually not been Ganon, but Ganon's always the big string puller. The quest to destroy Ganon is an essential part of the plot of Breath of the Wild, and one of the things that starts Link on his quest. That means that the final battle has been building up since the very beginning, and it doesn't disappoint. Some things are the same as other fights, just like, the 2 phases in which Link has to face Calamity Ganon and then Dark Beast Ganon. The player does have to do some fancy footwork to avoid his sword strikes and laser beams, but if you have the right equipment, if you have the right tools for the job, you can do it pretty easily. Another similarity is that second phase is easier than the first phase. The battle moves outside and Link is mounted on a ranged weapon. The only real challenge is making that killing shot. And honestly, it's more cinematic than it is challenging at that point.
That part's for fun.
Right.
Like that's
more,
just for cinema.
It's now we've got to do the big fight, and Ganon's now a kaiju, and it's kind of like a kind of coup de grace thing of Ganon. But Ganon was always been kind of the ultimate boss out there. I remember seeing people do speed runs of beating Ganon from the top of this tower, in Ocarina of Time, even as early as the 90s. And so if there's anyone out there to me that defines what boss battles are, it's got to be Ganon. He's got to be the top there. What do you guys, Kev, what do you think about Ganon coming in at number 1 in the countdown?
Yeah, I think he deserves to be here. I haven't fought him yet. I'm getting close.
Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild. That's right.
Yeah. But from what I've seen and heard, even just playing the game, all the build up and stuff, I'm really looking forward to this one. So yeah, I think I'm happy with this.
Yeah. Jake, you got any objections to Ganon making number 1?
No, I mean, I think Ganon specifically being number 1 makes a lot of sense. He's one of the biggest boss battles of my childhood, and into my adulthood with this Breath of the Wild battle, and particularly what makes this one so unique too is similar to almost the Master in a way, is that you have a choice to go fight Ganon right off the jump if you want.
Yeah.
You can make it there. I've seen speedrunners do it, and I've seen them beat Ganon with rusted swords, which is fucking insane. It's one of those things where the people who do that, kudos to you for having that amount of time and skill. Yeah, like that's the biggest one. Is to be able to do all that stuff. I literally had to get OP, and then I went and fought Ganon. But like this boss battle, it's a lot of fun. After you get all of the what are the 4 guardians or whatever the fuck they're called. After you get champions or something.
Ancient beasts, aren't they?
Yeah, ancient beasts. That's what it is. Yeah. After you get all of those done, and then you go straight over there and just like wax this motherfucker up real quick. Like it's a lot of fun. It's a fun boss battle. Like you said, it does get a little cinematic, on the second half, but then that's still a lot of fun, and it ends, on a high note. And so, I forget Kev's just now playing through Breath of the Wild. You're gonna have a lot of fun on this one, man. It's a great final boss battle, and so I definitely would say avoid it until the end. Like I tried to
savored it, and it was too easy for me because I did
so that is the downside, because I did the same thing. I played this game as much as I possibly could before beating Ganon.
You're probably going to end up doing that just because that's just how I play these kind of games.
Yeah. But then you go into Ganon and you just wax him.
You will fucking mop the floor with Ganon if that's the case.
Because I get my ass kicked by everything else. So I was very concerned. I'm like, this doesn't look promising for me.
Yeah, honestly,
you gotta upgrade that armor. You get there.
Yeah. To be real, the gold litinals are harder than Ganon.
Those are tough.
Those are harder than Ganon.
Yeah. And you got to get that shit to fucking upgrade armor. And so dude, I had to kill so many of those things. Once you get good at it, it's fun. It's hunting, and so they become fun little boss battles too.
You're doing all the bomb shots in the air and shit. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
God, I love that game. I need to go back and play Breath of the Wild.
I do too. I can't wait for the sequel to be coming out. But we do have a list of honorable mentions before we go, so we got to talk about those. Mr. Freeze from Arkham City, Laughing Octopus from Metal Gear Solid 4, Hitler from Wolfenstein 3D, Tinkerer from Miles Morales, Ornstein and Small from Dark Souls, Corda and or Atheon from Destiny, Nemesis from Resident Evil, Master Hand from Smash Bros, M. Bison from Street Fighter, Anything Sekiro, Jack of Blades Fable, and Reapers from Mass Effect 2. So tons and tons of great bosses there. Not all of them could make the countdown, but hey, we had to have Wizpig on there. So,
Jack of Blades, I think probably looking at this, could have made the list.
Wizpig made this list because I wanted to throw people.
Jacob,
that wasn't
I wanted people to be like, "What Wizpig?" But then I guarantee anybody who want to talk shit about Wizpig being on the list won't go beat Wizpig today.
Right? We can't beat Wizpig.
They won't just go beat him right now.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. 100%. All right. Well, that will do it for our show today, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like anything you see or hear tonight, be sure to check us out on YouTube, on TikTok, on Discord, on all the places. We are all over the social medias and places. If you want to catch me on my stream, you can catch me at Roos Bane on Twitch and Twitter and on TikTok. Kev, where can they find you?
You can find me at Totally Awesome on Twitch and TikTok.
And Jake, what about you?
You can find me at Gonzo Gone Live on almost everything. If you're looking for me on TikTok, don't.
What do you mean? You just got 37K.
I know, I did. It's pretty cool. I mean, I just don't.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. But nah, it's just because I make stupid TikToks. So, but hey, that's what people love. People
TikToks, Jake. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My last one was a coming mustache joke, so you're welcome.
It made me think about what you were talking about being what do we call it? Capitalist propaganda.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what it made me think of.
I am capitalist propaganda. I hate it, but I love products and corporations, baby.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys. Also, big shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly, and everybody that's been going off in chat, Sag Gaming, Caperdoodle, Jesse Sims. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and keeping the conversation going. It's been a lot of fun. Also, big shout out to our producer, Cape the Doodler.
Caperdoodle. The Doodler.
Caperdoodle.
Doodle Bob.
The Doodler. and all of our new followers. We got a new follower a little while ago. Double Pekka.
Yeah.
Double Pekka. I hope that's how you say it. Thank you for the follow. We appreciate that. Pekka. Yeah. Is there any particular things from chat that y'all wanted to shout out?
I saw Sag's extensive boss battles. I mean, I think we had a few of those on our shout outs, for that, as far as, our honorable mentions and everything. Yeah. But dude, I've never played Call of Duty's campaign, Swimming Ninja Turtle. Like, you had a lot. So Sag, thank you for tuning in. Definitely thank you for your list. I love giving you a hard time. Oh, and thank you. I thank you. I mean, I don't know if you have a headband, but if you have one, I like yours too.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, KLM. And Kev, anything for you?
No. I really, this was a fun show. I like talking about boss battles. I think it's I think it's a real lost art.
It really is. It really is. Yeah. We got to figure out another way to make another top 10 about boss battles. Yeah. For sure. But anyways, that will do it for the show. We'll be back same time, same place next week. If you miss us in between then, make sure to follow us on all of our other social medias. You can find that down below. Until then, we will see you then next time, same place. I don't know how to do an exit intro, so we will see you guys then.